Hey, what's up, Packer Nation? Wish you were joining me here on a Victory Monday, but we saw some improvements yesterday with the Pack, and I am going to just get started with my opening statement here. I am your co-host, Bernie Bango. This is the second episode of Coast to Coast Packers. Our host, Amar, will be here soon. And like I said, I'll just get started with my opening statement. I just want to get it off my chest. It's probably the last time I'll talk about this because it was something that made me feel a little frustrated. And the refs have to get the scoop and score correct. They had multiple views. They had two chances to get it correct. At first, I thought to myself, I'm a homer. I'm being biased. I'm just thinking it went backwards. So then we saw more camera angles, and we got numerous views of it today. And I personally think, and I will stand on this ground, is it went back almost a full yard. So they got it wrong twice, because aren't they on the phone with someone from like the New York City office? Who's in the booth? Who are they talking to? They're watching the screen. That would have likely put the Packers up 20-17. If they would have reversed the call, here's the thing, though. They can't reverse the call and said scoop and score. It wasn't going to be 6 points, or 7 points for the Packers there. If they would have reversed the call, it would have only been, where they picked it up. They can't advance the ball since it was whistled a dead ball. But it would have been like 1st and goal from the 5, what have you. I would hope the Packers could get it in, could punch it in at that point. At least they were automatically in field goal range. But they could have put up the Packers 20-17 at half. At worst, you'd think we get the 3 out of that, and it'd be 17-6. We'd be down 1. But let's just say it's 2017, and that happens. Packers come out, right? And they kick 2 field goals on their first 2 drives after halftime. That could have been 26-17 Packers. We likely see Kenny Pickett throwing the ball more than because everything I've seen so far is every team that has played the Steelers, they stacked the line and they made Kenny Pickett throw the ball. I don't know if Joe Barry didn't watch any tape. A lot of you probably know my feelings about Joe Barry. I think everyone in Packer Nation knows each other's feelings on Joe Barry facing the Steelers with a 22nd ranked DVOA rush offense, right? 22nd. We gave up over 200 yards. But anyways, Steelers have also been outgained in all 9 of their games, and they're 6-3. My opinion, this should be 5-4. I think the refs... If refs get that play right. I'm not guaranteeing and saying absolutely we would have won 100% of, the times we recover that play. But the way things unfolded yesterday, I really felt like that one play gets called correctly or gets overturned. I think we have a different outcome. But we will never know. I'm not going to slap the Bernie Bango guarantee on that call to change the outcome of the game. It's my personal opinion. I want everyone to feel like to hear me. But I just think it would have put us over the top yesterday. You have replay for a reason, and we didn't get it done. So that's my opening statement. And we're going to give Umar a few more minutes here. He should be dropping it here in a second. But if you have any thoughts on that play, let me hear them. Throw them in the comment section right now. It's just, I know it's not just something that's happening against the Packers. I've seen it happen with other teams this season. It just feels like the NFL is not getting these right. Todd, it was clearly an incomplete pass. Of course you would say that, Todd. Not even close, he says. All right. Well, I mean, if it wasn't close, neither was the Music City Miracle, right? That got the Titans in the Super Bowl. That was definitely a forward pass on that kick return. So we should go back and replay. Refs were perfect yesterday. I would hope for a perfect, some perfect refs, or just refs that communicate. Because when he came back, he just said the call stands. So it was a very neutral way. Rashawn doesn't make mistakes. That would have been the only play Rashawn maybe made yesterday if if that gets overturned. But the ref came back, just says the call stands, and they just wanted to move on with it. That's just kind of what I got from that. He didn't want to say, he didn't really address the play. He just says the call stands. Let's move on. I need to move on because I don't want to beat a dead horse. I've said my piece on it. I'm going to jump into good news, bad news here, and maybe we can get an opening statement when he gets here. All right. I'm going to start with bad news. I think it's always good to start with bad news. I think going with good news right away, I don't want to lead us downhill. Let's do some bad news here. All right, bad news. The run D is awful. I'm guessing Amar will have some thoughts about that call. I'm sure you will, Todd, and we can go back to it for a moment. Only good thoughts, clearly. Bad news, the run D is still awful. Against a team, as I mentioned earlier, right, the Steelers' run offense is ranked in the 20s. They've been having a hard time getting Najee Harris going all year. We gave up 205 yards. Kenny only threw for 126. But yes, bad news. We knew we needed to stop the run and make Kenny Pickett throw, and they didn't even. We couldn't stop the run to make Kenny throw. So that's some bad news right there. What's up, Amar?
Oh man. Let's just say sorry for being late again.
It's your birthday, man. You are okay. So happy birthday, Amar. We'll get it out of the way. Let's see some happy birthdays in the comments section there. And
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
feel like two weeks in a row now on the show here. I'm more like late. I gotta tighten up here a little bit, but hope everyone's doing great. I know we had opening statements and then good news, bad news, but go back to opening statements. I kind of wanted to touch on a few things that have been just really eating up my car the last 2 days. Was hoping the Packers would give me like a win for my birthday. They didn't do that. And I got to admit that lateral pass, that was a lateral pass, that was reviewed, that wasn't given to us. The fact that the ref had the gall to come out of his freaking mouth and say that we couldn't determine if it was a lateral pass or not with all the cameras that they have, considering the fact that they have cameras for every freaking little thing, that you couldn't figure that shit out. And as my friend Dan Connick said, you could have pulled out a protractor from freaking, our grade school days or high school days of math, and you could have saw from the angle that shit was a backward pass. And I am just like, you know what? That's fine. You don't want to give it to us. That's fine. I get it. But for a coach to come out today and say that he finds it comical, he finds it that people are exposing themselves, he finds it foulable, that people would think that having only 2 true down linemen and then having 2 outside linebackers that become deep down linemen is the most dumbest thing I've ever heard. I know we don't really cuss a lot on this show, but that was probably the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. And I understand his point there, but the fact is that you're on a goal line situation. You're playing in a semi 2-4-5 nickel kind of formation. You don't have 3 defensive tackles out there. You have 2 defensive tackles, and you have 2 other guys that are about 260. And with the way the Pittsburgh Steelers came out with a guy like Darnell Washington, who's like 272, no, he's probably like 280 tight end, basically another offensive lineman out there.
Yeah.
And, I've seen a lot of our folks on Twitter, like basically a couple people that are blaming the Just like Coach LaFleur, missed assignments, missed tackles, this and that. I can understand that for maybe that play in particular on the goal line. But what about the other 200 yards that were rushed on us? It just gets to a point to like, when's enough's enough? And hearing Coach LaFleur come out and just defend Joe Barry, I said it on Twitter today everybody in life should have somebody who defends them like LaFleur defends Barry's defense. Like, it is fucking pathetic. It's pathetic. And I'm just over it. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to seeing the Chargers and the Chiefs and in Detroit again. I hope they blow us out. I really do. I want Jordan Love to keep doing good, but I hope that our defense gets eviscerated week in and week out, just so we can be done with this experiment. And if it comes to a point where I love Coach, but if he's like, hey, if Joe goes, I go, bye, dog. I'm sorry. I know that it's easy to fire a head coach, and then who the hell do you put in this place? It's not very easy to replace good coaches, and I do think Matt LaFleur is a good coach. But if you're going to tie your wagon to that dude, I'm over that. And my opening statement, that's my opening statement, is that I was really baffled by that call. Again, refereeing in that game was pathetic. There was a lot of just BS calls, and for us to get that reviewed, even Jason Wode asked him today, was like, would you have liked it if the ref had just told you, hey, sorry, you can't challenge that. We call the play dead. It is what it is, and let him keep his time out. And Coach was just like, no. I agreed with him on that. I was like, no, I would have been pissed too. I was like, no, you review that. And for you to review that and still come back with that decision, that is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. So that's my opening statement. I'm over Joe Barry, and I'm over the refs. And even with all that being said, we still had 2 opportunities to win that game. And we could have easily won that game. And I just really think, we get to the good and bad. I'll definitely say what I feel about that part.
Okay. Let's jump into that. I had just started good news, bad news. My bad news, I literally had gotten through just pretty much like Steelers run offense has been mid this year. It's been ranked in the 20s. And so our run D is still awful. We gave up 205 yards. It's bad news. We knew that they had to come out and run the ball because everyone has been stacking the line and forcing Kenny to throw. Kenny only had 126 yards yesterday. That was all on the run D. So bad news is we knew we had to stop the run, and we still couldn't do it. That's kind of where I was. That's where I was at on bad news. So if you want to give some bad news, and then we can find
the good news.
Good news. We can find some good news in here too.
I think so. Oh, yeah, there was a lot of good news from that game, but the bad. I could piggyback off of what you said. 126 yards for Kenny Pickett, right? Running too high shell, because you got to be careful, because Kenny Pickett, he has a howitzer for an arm. Not really. He has hands smaller than a baby. And that team has not had over 300 yards in offensive production for a year and a half. And you ain't got to worry about that, though, because Joe Brady's going to get you right on offense. He's always going to get you right. Just he going to take care of you. My bad news is Christian Watson. I love the kid. I think he's a very smart kid. I just don't think he has it. I'm sorry. I know that he looked really good last year for 6-7 games. But time and time again, now that first interception, a little bit on both of them, right? It was Jordan Love threw a bad ball. I mean, it wasn't a great ball, but it wasn't like a bad ball. It just could have been better.
And it was in a tight spot.
It was a tight spot, and he would, the route was not great. And then on top of that too, again, Watson doesn't fight for the ball. He's he's waiting for it to get to him. Yeah. That has been a theme over and over again. And I'm sorry, Christian Watson comes from North Dakota State. I mean, who the hell is he playing out there, right? That talent ain't that great. Yeah. And he's now showing a lead in the big leagues where that speed and that size that he has can be wiped out by good corners that knows what they're doing. And that's exactly what Patrick Peterson did in that. And on top of that, too, you are de facto, me and Dan talked about this yesterday, you are a de facto first-round pick. You don't play like one. And honestly, this is the time where Wicks and Reed need to start getting his touches. I think we need to get to a point now where Wicks should be starting. He should be starting opposite Dobbs. We should have Reed in there too. They should be the top 3. Watson shouldn't be seeing the field unless someone gets hurt or we're playing 4 wide. That's my bad. My bad news is that this guy has been an investment that is not coming through. And you're right. It's his second year. He may get in a third year. I feel like he can. But on the same end too, though, this whole player drafted at a certain spot because that they need to start or they need to get snaps and touches. I'm not for that anymore. I think that it's all about based on if you're playing well, you keep playing. If you're not, you get benched. Because
100%.
and that's my bad news is that Christian Watson has just not lived up to the hype.
My
This is what it is.
my yeah, my thoughts on Christian Watson is I feel like his career trajectory is now more like MVS. Like he's Valdez Scantling. He's got speed, hands are okay, pretty good athlete. I hope he's better than MVS, but that's where I see his ceiling maybe now is I'm thinking maybe that's so I feel you. It's not good news.
And the sad thing is MVS, like for all his shortcomings at times, right? In that NFC Championship game against the Buccaneers, he's the only one that showed the hell up on the offense when it came to wide receivers. He was lining them up, right?
Very true.
Vontae didn't show up. And all I got to say is like, he was the reason why our offense was kind of clicking in 2021 until you guys back injury in a bullshit game against Detroit. Same thing with D-Bach. They both played in a game that they didn't need to play in. And they both got hurt. They didn't show up. They weren't there for the divisional game. And that helped. And like, you saw improvement with MVS every single year, right? Like every year, he just kept getting a little bit better and better and better, right? With Watson, he was a rookie and he had his ups and downs because of the injuries, and then he came back and really blew it up. And you kind of wanted him to kind of stack that. Instead, he got hurt again. So then you're kind of hoping that when he gets in, it's going to take him time to get his feet up under him. Well, unfortunately, he's not. He's getting worse. He's regressing, and that's a lot of that is confidence. MVS had confidence issues too, and now, look at where he is now. He's with another premier elite quarterback. Yeah. It's not like he's lining it up there. Yeah, but I'm saying like you're right though. Like he might have that same kind of trajectory. I want to put a little more love on MVS because when the chips are down, we need him. He showed up. I just haven't seen that from Watson. Yeah,
you're 100% right about that. Yeah, need Watson to show up in a big moment.
Yeah.
Well, let's get some good news in there. Here's something from one of our listeners here, Todd over from Facebook. Good news around 6 or more plays of 20-plus yards. So, we saw some bigger chunk yardage there. So, the good news I just want to throw out there is offense took some steps forward. We saw some rhythm. We saw some drives. Love threw some great passes yesterday, right? So, I like we have some of those bigger chunk yards, right? Because that was something Love was getting criticized for. So that's where my good news is. Offense took some steps forward. Unfortunately, we had to have the touchdown at the end of the game. We can get into a little bit more of why we had to go for the touchdown here in a little bit. Let's stay in the good news zone right now. Ty's also saying some good. I think Musgrave. It could be a good. And that's for somebody who connected on some of those big plays. Was Musgrave. So that's my good news. Is I feel like the offense took some steps forward.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I think from a good news perspective, we're seeing Jordan starting to hit those deep passes that he's been criticized for all year. I mean, those touchdown to Jayden Reed was amazing. I wasn't expecting that. That was definitely him just throwing the ball out there and making his playmaker make a play. Like Jordan, for all the 2 interceptions, you want to say what you want to say. Even then, though, some of the play calling was suspect. There were some things that LaFleur was calling. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're not helping out here. This is not good for Jordan. It's not good for the offense. There were still drop passes. But the good news was that with all that being said, like I was saying before, we were – I got to share this shit. We were very close to winning these games. And I think that says a lot. Like this, a lot of people said this is the first time we lost a game where I didn't feel as bad as losing this game, just because of the fact that we went into this game against a defense that's taken over teams. And for the most part, TJ Watt did not have a big game, and that we did look pretty competent on offense. Our defense basically did the same thing they always do. When they play up against a team that can run the ball and smash you in the mouth, they got smashed in the mouth and they crumbled. There's nothing new there. At least on offense, we kept fighting and we kept putting ourselves in position to win. And I think you can stack on that. I think that's something huge you can stack on. And I completely agree. The one good news is that we are one day closer to Joe Barry being fired. I want to believe that. I just don't know where LaFleur's head is, because when you hear him talk yesterday and today, he does emphasize on missed assignments and missed tackles. And I'm just kind of like, that's fine, but like you're playing too high shell about 40% of the time against a team that doesn't really throw the ball deep. And
Yeah.
you were in a close game. It wasn't like a game where they had to throw back into the game to win. The guy threw, like you said, 126 yards.
Yeah.
So for Joe Barry to kind of stay in this 2 shell by death kind of stuff, yeah, he may adapt in the second half, and we kind of held them for the most part. But again, what did we notice? Like you noticed it too. I've been watching the game. Like every time they got a long in distance, they would force everybody out and they would check it down. And almost, I kept feeling like the check down was going to get the first down every time because like there was nobody there because you're playing 10, 15 yards off. And I agree with this too. Our commenters are hitting it nice.
Yes.
As bad as we had a third and a fourth string cornerback out there, they both played their asses off. Yeah, they may have had some issues here and there, but at the end of the day, they didn't really need that help to have the too high shell. That's why I like watching defense like Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs and like that. They put their corners on an island. They say, all right, well, you corner, you're gonna earn your money. You make them go one-on-one with these receivers, and who are the best man wins. And if not, guess what? The pressure or something that's going to get to the quarterback, and you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And that's something that I don't think Joe Barry does enough because he just doesn't know how to.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went off my good news and just crazy.
No, that's good. No, that I've been taking for all my good news and all my stuff. I usually put down extra notes because in case we double down. Because one of my other good news was I thought the young cornerbacks look good too. There was here like they looked serviceable, not good, not great, but they played angry and nasty. They had a chip on their shoulder. There was some tenacity there. Well, yeah, they didn't look great, but man, you could tell they were hungry as hell to be out there. And that's what I want to see. I want to see a guy that it's like he's playing like he thinks he still needs to prove himself every down. It's like because that's what you play growing up when you have a coach that if you screw up, he'll yank you out of there. I know somebody in our chat tonight, Gregory Schmidt, he played football with me growing up, and my old man was our coach. And that's exactly what you do. If you screwed up, he would grab you and pull you off the field, and
you don't have that anymore. You don't have that anymore. You don't
hold these guys accountable, man.
You're paying these guys shit tons of money and they don't produce. Guess what they're thinking? Well, we got to get most out of our investment. But at the end of the day, it's like you have all these like Todd just said, you have all these rookies that are contributing, right? And the truth is like the young guys need to keep playing. They need to get more because these guys are actually playing well in comparison to some of these veterans that have been there, and they just don't. Either they don't got it, they got paid, and they got happy, or whatever the hell it is. At the end of the day, like. You should go into every game thinking you're going to get benched. That goes for Ja. That goes for every single player on that team. Like if you're going to start doing stuff that is not that is below your talent and your potential, then I'm sorry, you shouldn't be on the field. And I really think that dog mentality when you have these guys that are like first, second round picks. Some of them, look at Amon St. Brown. This dude still literally quotes every single receiver that was drafted before him. And he's probably one of the best receivers in the league. Fourth round pick, and he's still pissed. But you get other guys that were Christian Watson, second kind of first round pick. And I don't know. Sometimes they just not have the fight in them. They don't have the dog. And they say they want to be great. But to be great and to play great, like one of the things that I feel like with Jaden Reed, he's a second round pick, a late second round pick. But he is playing like he was a second round pick. And he feels like he has something to prove every single time. Him and Wicks, they play with their hair on fire. They play like they give a shit. And this means something to them. And like maybe, obviously body language police, we don't know what the hell these guys are thinking. Obviously, everybody wants to win. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to make mistakes. But there's some intangible things when it comes to heart. There's some things that comes to tenacity and that comes to like just wanting it more than somebody else that some guys just don't have it. And that is prevalent in the NFL on every level, every stage.
And some guys have it in them and you got to pull it out of them.
100%.
And that comes from coaching.
Yep.
I love MLF's football brain. But like I refer, I joke. I refer to those like his type of coach as like a nerd or a dork. Like you're an analyst, you're like a student of the game. He wasn't some dog out there on the field playing, learning, through playing, getting his chops that way. But he's got a brilliant mind. I still believe in that, but he doesn't have that dog in him, man. And
I agree with that.
Like as they say, like iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you through the times I played sports, or even my time in the military. If I had like tough, rowdy dudes around me, I was going to get tough and rowdy, and that sometimes starts at the top. And I don't feel like we have that in our coaching staff. Well, I think we have it, but we don't unleash it. And that's our special teams coach. I think he's got some dog in him. But
what gets me about that? Something you said about that. Your team runs like you're off your head coach, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes with the way I see how LaFleur is, like he's very, very analytical. He's very, very like film based. He's very like, hey, this is the way it is kind of thing, right? But like he also is the same guy that kind of like you can just see like sometimes like he just gets either highly emotional or highly sensitive about certain things, right? And I feel like your team's gonna run that way too. Right?
Yeah.
Like you have a dog, and now this isn't always the case, but you've noticed in some of these teams where if you have a head coach that's he runs his hot piss, as they say, right? And you feel that you kind of run the same way, right?
Oh, I think you just might have froze.
Okay, I'm back. Good.
Oh,
and,
there you are.
I lost you for a second there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's all good.
My internet over here acting a fool. But like, there's some things when it comes to coaching where if you don't have any new voices and you have guys just keep coming in every year, just doing the same shit over year by year, sometimes their messages get stale. And then also the results are starting to wane. We're noticing that on run defense. We're noticing that with our receivers. I mean, Variable's been there forever. Jerry Montgomery's been there forever. Greg Williams is a new defensive back coach, right? And so maybe he is a new voice in that room that is causing these guys to play a little bit harder than they normally do. But, there's just a softness to this team at times. I didn't really feel it that much this week because I felt like these guys kept fighting.
Oh, having a little technical difficulties there. Amar I think he'll be back.
I'm back. I don't know what's going on right now, man. I'm connected to I'm connected to everything. So I don't know why it's doing this to me here. So I apologize.
It's all good.
All right. So our next big thing is our two best performers and our two worst performers, right?
Yeah. Top two, bottom two.
Okay.
Or you can like do position groups, coaches, whatever. You can get creative with it, but we each have top two, bottom two. Do you want to start with top or bottom?
Let's start with top because we started bottom last time. Let's start with bad news, right? So let's start top this time. So my top two, I want to say the offensive line for the most part played well, better than they have been all year. When I saw that Walker was out there, I was pretty annoyed, and he did hold up pretty well against that pass rush. I have to give him credit for that, right? I think Love was maybe sacked one, maybe two times. So I got to give him that. And then also the rookie receivers. I have to give it to Jaden Reed and Wicks. And I'm going to put Musgrave in there too. Even though he's not a receiver, I'm going to put him in there too. Because, man, like seeing those guys play, just watching them just playing their asses off and just doing the most with their opportunities. Jordan Love's numbers throwing to those guys are like QBR is like top over 100. And that's saying something, right? And like I said, like seeing some of these other receivers that can't catch a freaking cold, I was like, you know what I'm saying? Like these two guys are just lining it up. So those are my two biggest things: the offensive line as a whole, and then it's a whole game now. And also, I'm going to give it to the receivers. And you know what, Todd? You're right. My boy Whelan, he was getting hit. He was playing the shit out of that thing. I think we have a 20-year guy there. He is amazing. Like every time we punt, I don't even get worried now when we punt the ball. I don't. I used to get worried back in the day. Now I'm happy. I'm like, you know what? He gonna punt the shit out of it. It don't matter if he's gonna get down there, but he gonna punt the shit out of it. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah. All right, I'll hit you with my top two. And usually I don't double down, but I'm going to. And I'm doubling down on those rookie pass catchers. Jaden Reed, 5 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Luke Musgrave, 2 catches, 64 yards. Wicks, 3 catches, 51 yards. So that's like 200 yards and a touchdown there to rookies. I can't, that's just like I feel like that's all I need to say. We really to say about this group of guys, because at first I thought Jaden Reed, but then I saw what the other 2 rookies did, and these rookie pass catchers are the real deal. Now it's like you wish that Watson and Romeo could, take a step forward. Romeo had yes, Romeo.
Okay.
I guess Romeo's doing. I guess maybe I had too much expectations. I thought Romeo was actually going to. I thought Romeo was going to become the number 1 guy this year.
Same.
But no, he's still solid. I'm not trying to criticize. Romeo's having.
He could be better, but he's not like he's at least. If he gets like 10 plays, he's making maybe 7 of them, right? In comparison to Watson, who's like maybe making 3 of those 10 right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's I got to go with those guys. I'm really excited. I know earlier someone said something about Musgrave as well in the comment section. I just love this guy. I think year 2 or 3 he's going to be an all pro pass catching tight end. I just hope he can stay on his feet after he catches the ball. I feel like every time he's catching it, he's either like diving or already falling catching the ball, or the moment he catches it, he like loses his balance. I want to see him run a little more. All right. And then my other top 2, and it's because of the last maybe 2 games, but I want to give some love to McDuffie. The last 2 games, he's got 17 total tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, a QB hit. I know it's a small sample, but I mean, he's running around and he's getting more snaps, and with Quay out, Campbell was out for a while. I just want to give some love to him, man, because it's not easy to replace either of those 2 guys, and I think he stepped in and he's playing all right. Where I could see it being Quay and McDuffie being our 2 inside linebackers next year, but just want to give some love to a guy who typically does not get it.
You talk about McDuffie, man. You love some McDuffie, man. You do love some McDuffie, man. He's the kind of guy that if he's playing run defense, or if he's getting rushed into, he's pass rushing, I'm all for him. But when it comes to coverage, he is not a good coverage linebacker. And there's some guys that just don't excel at those things, right? And Devondre Campbell is definitely a kind of guy was really good at both things. He did have that ankle injury. He had a knee injury last year. I just feel like he's still recovering from that kind of stuff. That's why we're not seeing him at his best. And Quay is a jack of all trades. I mean, he really can do everything. And him not being out there has really hurt us. I do agree, though. Like, I like McDuffie as a player because with his limitations that he has, he plays, once again, 150 miles an hour. He's not playing scared. He going to hit the hole. He may make a mistake, but he makes that mistake 100 miles an hour. That's something that I think a lot of players are not doing because they're thinking too much and they're scared to make those mistakes. And, okay, right here, real quick, we got to share this one. When this happened no joke, when this happened, when we were about to kick this extra point, I watched it, and I'm being a negative Nelly at this point, and I'm like, they're going to block it. Watch. They're going to block it, right? And I was just talking shit because I was trying to do that reverse jinx. I was like, I'm going to say the reverse stuff, right? No, this bastard's out here playing mind games. He just literally like, do you not know what the count was? Do you not know you're about to do a field goal block? Like, what are we doing here, bro? Like, you were just, for a guy who's really smart, like oh, man, when I saw the girl not even move, I thought we got rid of that when we got remember we had Lancaster on the flank, and the same shit happened where the guys ran right by him?
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm done with the DeGuro experiment. He can't catch. He can't block. He can't do special teams right. I'm sorry. I'm done with it. You just need to either cut him, you need to get him off the team, and you need to go ahead and just give all his snaps to Kraft and Sims. I'm over it, bro. I'm over it. I'm done. I don't care. This is the second week in a row we've been complaining about this man. And he's literally just every week does something that just makes you want to freaking just smack your face. Like, what the hell was that? Like,
he's locked in on one of my bottom 2, so perfect timing, perfect to bring it up. Just the zero effort on the block extra point.
None.
And it's so funny that you're like, see, watch this get blocked right now. Yesterday, Robin Adams and I were live streaming the game, or I should say, with the game on Pro Sports Fans, and was it after our first touchdown? Carlson comes and kicks it out of bounds. Then like after our second touchdown, right? That's where the extra point got blocked, and we're just thinking like, man, we can't have anything nice, right? Like we see a good drive by the offense, and it's within the next play or two, some dumb crap has to happen, some bonehead play has to have just to, just I don't know. It's frustrating, man. It's just like
I could agree with you more. Like we can't even score a touchdown without just something going wrong. And that one point made the difference. That one point made the big difference where instead of us kicking a field goal and having an opportunity to tie the game and go into overtime, in both those instances, we could easily have done that. Yeah. No, what happens if we have to score a touchdown to win? And like those are the minor little mistakes that come back and bite you in the ass. Like, we didn't get a play that went our way, but that mistake right there had a very big impact on the game. And that's what it's just, and that's another thing. And there was some punt returns that were pretty good by them. There's some kick returns that was good by them. And I'm thinking yo, Rich, bro, you're the highest paid special teams coordinator in the league. And I know players, coaches coach, players play. Yeah. You can't, once again, where is the ROI? Where is the return on investment when it comes to the amount of money we played on special teams, the amount of money we're spending on defense? These things that we're doing, we're not seeing anything for it. We're not seeing the result we should be seeing. And it's when is enough's enough? When do you just say, all right, this ain't working for me? I don't know when you do that, right? It's frustrating as hell.
Yeah. So DeGuara is obviously one of our bottom two. Do you have any other?
How much time we got? I'm just kidding.
Let's just do. We still, 45 minutes, I think, is what we shoot for. We still got 8 to 10 minutes, Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, for the most part, I think when it comes down to it, there's the biggest things that I notice when it comes to I know Lucas Van Ness is a rookie. I know he's not getting a lot of play, but the truth of the matter is that I'm expecting more from him every week, and he's slowly getting there, right? Again, I have a hard time judging players on this defense, just because of who's running it. That's my biggest thing, right? And then on offense, my biggest concern is the stale play calling, and again, the trick play. Why are we doing the same exact trick play that we did against Denver? We're basically doing the same shit again, right? Trying to run a double.
Are you talking about the one that Dontavian
from Wicks? Yeah. And I'm just what the F is this? Dude, someone made the comment on our podcast where they're when you start doing trick plays like that, it's almost nothing else is working. Your offense isn't working. So you got to do something freaking random to hope that it gets the thing going, right? Yeah. And I'm just I hate to say it, you didn't see a lot of this stuff when Rodgers was there. Yeah. You didn't see a lot of trick plays because he was able to run the offense for the most part as best as he could, right? Sometimes I'm I just think what I respected about last night's Sunday night game against the Raiders and Jets. Antonio Pierce came out and he was just we're gonna run the damn ball, knowing that you can't really run against the Jets, knowing that hey, you know what, this could be slow treading, right? But guess what? Yeah. Let's stick to it. And that's one thing that I think LaFleur does get away from. And that True North makes a very good statement here. And thank you. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I was talking a lot of shit at the bar when I saw us. We had 1:20 left in the second quarter. We had 2 timeouts. You had enough time to work your way down the field, get in field goal range, and double up. And instead, you throw a bullshit pass, and then you run out the clock, and then you don't even try to run any more plays. That was the most coward shit I've ever seen in my life.
It's a defeatist attitude.
Defeatist attitude. You're going into the second half down, and you're all right, no, F that. You should be utilizing every opportunity that you have to score points. The second you do that, you show no faith in your offense. You don't show faith in your quarterback. You show no faith in your team by doing stuff like that. And this is where I'm saying LaFleur might be in trouble, just because it's kind of dude, if your margin of error is so small because of the fact that you have such a young team. You have to take advantage of every opportunity that you have to score points. And if you're not doing that, then what message are you sending to your team there? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and I have to that's my thought on it.
It was like he called that first play. It was like he thought it was gonna work. And when it got blown up, he was like at the poker
He gave
table.
up.
He just folded his hand, he was like,
Yes.
oh dang. Like I thought I had a good hand, and somebody went all in and he immediately folded. That's like the vibe I got. Was this like his bluff got called or something and he just folded. I can't. I feel there. I feel you there, Amar. My other bottom two. I can't drag on that. I'm glad somebody brought that up though. But it definitely, that's definitely kind of the vibe I get from.
It comes off soft, dude.
Yeah.
It comes off hella soft. I'm not gonna lie. Like that was one of those things where, I mean, you know what? Like he the trick plays are great. Like that. I mean, I think that's nice and dandy. But on the same hand too, though, like he's running the same trick plays.
Yeah.
Like that play is very similar to what he ran against Denver. The only difference was that instead of Jones going up the sideline, it was basically like a double screen pass, right?
Yeah.
For me, the problem is that your offense honestly, the offense wasn't playing that bad. Like Jordan was making good reads. Run game wasn't doing that great, but I have to admit, like AJ Dillon again was kind of like blowing things up. Like I just think like you just guys stick with what works instead of trying to do something out of left field. And you're right, like Bernie, when he messed up on that first play, LaFleur gave up. And that's where I got pissed. I'm like, dude, you still got 2 timeouts. You still got time. Just run another play. Run your offense. And look, I completely agree. Like, if it had worked, then I'm not talking shit. But it didn't work. That's the problem. And then guess what? You lose that down, and now you got a punt. And now it's just everything's all disjointed again, right? But it was the same thing like that when he had that one wheel route to Aaron Jones, who he had one player to beat, and he could have easily scored a touchdown. He dropped it as well. Wicks didn't get the ball to him either.
I was going to say, Wicks seemed like it was a slow delivery and it was a low throw. Like, Jones definitely did drop it. He got his hands on it, but you want that throw to be either right at Jones, or you actually want it to be like a half a yard or a yard ahead of him. So he's catching it with taking a step in the right direction.
All I got to say is that the width of the field is 50 yards. So you're having this guy throw probably 40, 45 yards across the other way. And I'm sorry, Wicks, unless last time I checked, I mean, Wicks had a good arm on that one pass he threw. That was 35 yards, right? That was on the money. But I was like, I'm just saying, like, you having a wide receiver making this pass, and it was like, what is it? What the hell is the terminology? It's like a saying about it. It's like great scheme, bad execution.
Bad execution.
Right? Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it was just bad execution, and that has literally been the theme of our team week in and week out, where it's just 1-2 plays that just come back and bite us in the ass. And that was one of the things. Honestly, the last play of the game, you saw they were rushing forward and they had 7 in the back in the end zone. Instead of trying to run routes into that, just why don't you run a screen and put your blockers in front of them and mano a mano, see what happens. Because that's a hell of a lot better than.
Oh no, Amar! Just when you're making a point. All right.
My connection's ever been, and I'm hardwired in. I don't know what's going on today, guys. I'm so sorry.
But hey, I'm gonna hit you with my last piece. Oh, no, I'm at the wrong one. Bottom 2. There we go. My other bottom 2 is 5 of Love's 10 interceptions are to Watson. So I know like we were kind of beating up on Watson, but so that shows you it's like, I mean, yesterday I think the second one was supposed to be kind of was credited going to Watson as well, but Love was just like just trying to get rid of the ball because the Steelers were bringing pressure. It was just they brought 4 guys and he was doing what he could in that moment. Let's just take a moment though. We usually we'll take a couple more minutes and then we'll jump off here. But looking to the future, we got the Chargers. Just give me some initial thoughts and feelings about this next matchup back in Green Bay. Another early game.
Okay, Chargers. So all I gotta say is that Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. But again, that team has shown that they will, as good as they have so much talent on both sides of the field, but they don't ever play up to it. And we could easily steal a win here, or we can get blown out. I mean, it honestly can go either way. We're at home. We'll have our 50s year classic jerseys on. I can't wait to wear mine. And this game is going to be, honestly, like every game now, like I think a lot of people say wins, losses don't mean shit this year. For me, they always do. And I'm like, hey, until we have the playoff contention, I'm that dumbass. I still think we're going to go to the playoffs. And I still think we can sneak in. Doesn't mean that we're going to make any noise, but why not, right? And, you got to lose 6 games to go 11-6. That's how I'm looking at it. You know what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, every time we have these kind of games, like these games where it looks like we're going to lose by like 30 points, we somehow show up. Yeah. We always play down to competition, and we play up to competition too. I'm hoping to God that we show up because the offense is starting to kind of get it together a little bit. And I'm really hoping that just, Aaron Jones came out of this game. He was getting lit up, and I'm just hoping to God that he came out somewhat healthy.
All right. I always love your optimism, and I know that there's a percentage of the Packer fan base that pray, hope, think, feel, believe that they have a playoff shot until we're mathematically eliminated.
Right.
And so I see this game though, Amar, as a must win. Because we follow it with at Detroit and then back home against Kansas City. And that's where I'm like, we got to win this one because I don't know if we can win either of those two. But when we come out of those tough, those back-to-back tough games, at New York, home against Tampa Bay, at Carolina, at Minnesota, home versus Chicago. So we saw a step forward with the offense against the Steelers. If we can put it together at home, beat the Chargers, even if we lose to Detroit or Kansas City, I wouldn't be surprised if we look a little bit better even through those 2 losses. That's a schedule that you can run at the end of the season. Giants, Bucks, Panthers, Vikings, Bears.
Yeah, I definitely think that those are all winnable games. Honestly, there's a lot of games, like even this Steelers game, we were in it to win it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, the only game that I felt like we got literally the shit kicked in was Detroit. Every other game we had a shot. And I think like it will be no different. And the fact is, minus the Detroit game, every other game I feel like was a 1-score game loss. So that's something to build on because in 2008, when Rodgers took over, it was the same thing. We lost a lot of games that are one score or less. And I think that, and we closed out strong. I see that happening again this year. I don't want to talk about draft. I don't want to talk about draft position. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. I don't want to talk about that till February. That's just me. Until then,
I concur.
I'm with Todd, and I'm with you, Bernie. We didn't talk about the draft. We talk about going 1-0. I'm like, damn, Matt LaFleur and his cornball ass. We're going 1-0. We're going 1-0 this week. That's what I'm looking at right now because I'm.
No. Oh man, Amar.
No, not again.
Dude, it's like every time you're about to lay it down, I'm like, here it comes, man. The internet.
It's killing me. It's killing me. I'm sorry,
man. So yeah, just like some last words there. I'm with everyone. Not ready to talk draft yet. I know there's people out there that are ready to see the Packers lose out, and they want to talk draft. I won't do it. I do not have that mentality. I am in the mentality, if you want to talk draft, I'm the type of person that thinks that the draft order should be the number 1 draft pick should be the team that just missed the playoffs. They should be the first team outside looking in. Yeah. And then go to then go towards the lowest. So if you tank, man, you're that's the way you penalize for it. But
there you go.
Last words. Packers offense looked better. Defense looked the same. And
Dude, I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm hardwired in, so there shouldn't even be Wi-Fi, dog. It's pathetic right now. I'm so sorry.
uh,
But my last words, I'm gonna say my last words real quick before my internet kicks out here again is, yeah, definitely think we need to do that. It's unacceptable. And I'll make sure that this is tightened up for next Monday. I promise. Last words is like, hey guys, just don't give up hope. I think definitely agree. Love season, baby. I think Love is gonna keep showing us week by week, him getting better and better. There's throws that he makes where I'm like, goodness gracious. That's what I'm talking about. And I just think keep the faith. Let's not, if you everybody fans the way they want to fan. You know what I'm saying? You want to talk about draft, you want to do this, do that, go for it. That's all good. But if you want other people to be optimistic, go for it. You want to be negative? Hey, that's your prerogative. Do what you got to do. At the end of the day, as long as we all just support our team in the way we do, that means loving them, that's being critical of them, that's being just realist about things. That's fine. Or you can be psycho like me and just say, hey, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. That's what I do. I'm stupid like that. So, but I appreciate that. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And I hope you guys have a great Monday.
Hey, all right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here for our second episode of Coast to Coast Packers. I promise you next Monday, Amar's internet will be rocking and rolling.
Seriously. Gosh.
And hey, hopefully we'll be sitting here a week from now on a Victory Monday. Till next time, take it easy. Have a good week. Peace.
Take care. Go back. It's sad. Todd was talking shit, saying that I should have, podcasting from the car has never gone well. I should have just stuck with that because that was a lot better than that. Oh my gosh, I've never had those kind of issues on my internet here. I don't know what's going on. Today's been a good day, but then also like the last hour and a half have been just annoying as hell. So
yeah,
but how's everything going with you?
Good. It says here that we're still live.
Here we go.
I've clicked my end stream a couple times here.
I got you. Let me take